Ostad Elahi. If we try to describe him in a few words, he was a thinker, a judge, and one of the most remarkable musicians of the 20th century. Very early on, around age 5, from the hills of northwest Iran, Elahi started to play the tanbūr. There was no instrument small enough, so his father had a tanbūr made for him out of a wooden ladle. It wasn't long before the youngster began to show an extraordinary musical gift.
Well, the tanbūr is a very old instrument, going back to at least 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. What he did was try to standardize the proportions of the instrument. And he has some writings where he recommends how the instrument should be made with the correct proportions.
The traditional tanbūr had 2 strings, one for the drone and one for the melody.
Elahi added an extra string and detuned it slightly from its twin. And this slight difference of pitch creates beating tones between the 2 strings. There's a whole harmonic architecture.
He can use these 2 strings together or separately and actually finger them. And also the other strings singly that also can be fingered with the thumb, which is one of his innovations.
It's quite different than a classic instrument like a guitar, which is mainly a performance instrument. Its primary intention is to aid one to think about certain spiritual aspects of one's life.
There's a complex interaction between the harmonics produced by the 2 strings, beating tones, summation tones.
Not just the phrasing, but the rhythmic structures are quite sophisticated. They're repeating each other very asymmetrically and coming to rests in moments which you don't necessarily expect. And so it keeps the phrase very buoyant and interesting and surprising too.
Here, one of the interesting features is what I would call an arabesque style of ornamentation. A continuing pattern that propels itself forward using repetitive but slightly changing melodic patterns.
You go to Elahi for a kind of spiritual depth in the music.
He basically believed something from which the music flowed. And that kind of basic way of approaching music, I think, is fantastic.
It draws one into the sound and paradoxically creates within that sound a great silence within oneself.
And these pieces are meant to connect you with a different part of yourself that otherwise would be less accessible.